Voting ain't gonna help us, man. Marching ain't gonna help us, man. Protesting ain't gonna help us, man.
What it's like for a nigga like me.
Like me.
What it's like for a nigga like me.
Like me.
What it's like for a nigga like me.
Like me.
What it's like for a nigga like me.
Like me.
What it's like for a nigga like me. Gray skies overhead, success ain't looking likely, but I try to do the right thing like Spike Lee, and I talk to God, the one and almighty. Lord, please have mercy on me.
Have mercy on me. Yeah.
Lord, please have mercy on me.
Have mercy on me.
Have mercy on
Man, this
me.
shit ain't no joke, man, this shit ain't no joke. Like the boy cried wolf, I ain't blowing no smoke. You don't gotta look far to see it ain't no hope in this fucked up world. I'm just trying to stay afloat. I grew up in the ghetto in the middle of the streets, Hell, the belly of the beast. Thanksgiving came around, I wasn't having no feast when the landlord talking about breaking our lease. Goddamn, what's next? My girl broke with your boy and she did it in a text that if I couldn't have nothing that I could have love besides love for the money and selling these drugs. Sometimes it seems like it's the only way out, but every day I'm getting older and it's getting played out. Can't end up in the pen trying to find a way out. Lord, forgive me for my sins, for my heart gave out. My dad died, biggest loss I ever had to take. He a big part of the reason I'm the man I am today. And moving on was a move I wasn't trying to make, but I got sons now, so I gotta lead them not astray. And even though success is looking unlikely, I stay mighty and pray nightly and remain doing the right thing like Spike Lee, which is hard in this life for a nigga like me. All my life I had to fight like my name's Sophia. Always had heart and in my heart was no fear. Boy, I stayed in some trouble always stay near. When you black in America, that's all you cold here, I can't lie. Some days I wanna break down and cry for me and my people that's fighting to stay alive. Cause living ain't living where you living to survive. Yes, we living in hell till the heavens arrive. Now I mean,
What it's like for a nigga like me.
like me.
What it's like for a nigga like me.
Like me.
What it's like for a nigga like me.
Like me.
What it's like for a nigga like me.
Like me.
What it's like for a nigga like me. Gray skies overhead, this isn't looking likely, but I try to do the right thing like Spike Lee, and I talk to God, the one and almighty. Lord, please have mercy on me.
Have mercy on me. Yeah.
Lord, please have mercy on me.
Have mercy on me.
Have mercy on me. What it's like in this life for a nigga like me. Every day I gotta fight my demons. Wake up, thank God I'm breathing. Cause all nightmares, America's dreaming. Trying to find a way to make it while surrounded by heathens. No stress long as I got a coat and I'm eating. I'm blessed and I know the Most High's the reason. But my heart's bleeding, through my sleeve is seeping. For all the things that I've been peeping. Type of shit make you say fuck it and sleeping. Cause while you was sleeping, during the evening, for brothers got gunned down over the weekend. Stretched out in the streets, left leaking. Laid out, white sheet, mom's grieving. All lives gotta have more meaning than another nigga dead in the paper I'm reading. Baby mama bitching every time that she's speaking. Talking like she gonna take the kids as she's leaving. How we go from kids to ending up in the deep end. Sink or swim, lose or win, saint or sin. Where does the change begin? And when does the bullshit end? Cause I wake up in the morning, gotta do it again. Go to sleep, go to work and just do it again. Damn. Can't pretend, cause when you stand out, it's hard to blend. And what I stand for, don't fold the bend. Cause I heard real folks still got too many friends. Cause when you speak the truth, then you tend to offend. So, while I'm gripping this pen, Lord, please have mercy on me, amen.
It's time for my people to come together and rise up. The only way we gonna take our royalty back, man, is if we do just that, man. Take it back. Kwame Yashala, nigga. Time for us to rise out of our oppression. A wise man told me each one teach one. So I need you to
I'm telling you, man.
All right, I think you can hear me now. Let me cut some of this down. Salakia, thank you for those who punched in and said the sound wasn't right. Uh, but here we go. Here we go. This is the history class. Come to you every Monday out of Detroit, 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock p.m. Salakia for the technical difficulties. Let me check Facebook real quick to see if we got any questions over there. We don't have any questions right now on YouTube. Let me pull this up. And this is going to be interesting. I'm shooting off my laptop. Slovakia, if everything don't come out just right. Uh, but it's, it's some technical going on. Let me get over here to Detroit. Isupk. West Detroit online classes. There we go. And we are going live right now. So there we go. Okay. Now you get a chance to share this yet. So what I'm going to do is start a little watch party. We get it started on Facebook. Y'all chime on in. And there we go. Waiting for y'all to come on in. We didn't send it out. But today, again, this is the history class. And we want to take our time and we want to examine what's going on today in our communities. And we want to look at what the Bible has to say about it. Over here, Amos, real quick. Let me pull up. I want you to see something. Okay. Shalom. 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 Uh-huh. Oh, thinking of Amos. Really, Zephaniah. Zephaniah 2, verse 1. Gather yourselves together. Yea, we pull out here. You will forgive me. So, Lakia. Again, so Zephaniah 2, verse 1. Gather yourselves together. Yea, gather together, O nation, not desire. How did that fit in with history? Because this is the history class. So the question would be, how does that fit in with history? Here we go again. Let me make sure the green light is still on. Yeah, we're still on. How does that fit in with history? Well, let's look at where history has brought us to. We have Plymouth Rock land on us in the around 1619. Plymouth Rock lands on us. We find ourselves beginning to be slaves in this nation. Around 1863, something happened called Shalom. So, like, when we get around 1863, and something happened called the Emancipation Proclamation, supposedly by a fellow by the name of Abraham Lincoln. And then shortly thereafter, then we go through what's called Jim Crowism and Reconstruction. And during Reconstruction, when you saw the advent of your labor unions, because black folks possessed all the skill coming out of slavery. Why? Because we did all the work, picking cotton, figuring out ways of being more efficient at processing cotton. That was us. We did that. Slaves did that. Slaves did that. Now, after Reconstruction, then we come into an era I call it post World War II, 1945 on to the 1960s. A number of things happened in the history. And then the 60s, that we call that the Civil Rights Movement. And then we finally get to today. And a lot of stuff happened between now and then, but let's take a look at where we are today. When you walk into a black community today, what you don't see is black-owned businesses, so-called black-owned businesses. You see, we don't run the infrastructure. And the paradigm is such that whatever we need to exist, we get it from somebody else. We get it from somebody else. We live in the day, and I promise y'all, this is crazy as all get out. I remember being a few years younger than what I am now, and somebody told me that you were going to be able to go to the supermarket and buy water. I thought that was the dumbest, craziest thing I have ever heard. Well, not only do we have to pay water bills, but the water that we get through the pipes from the city is so polluted that if you want any halfway clean water, you have to go to the store today in 2019. You do have to go to the store and buy it. Understand, I was around in 1968. So in 2019, it's a tremendous thing for me to see that we go to the store to buy water that we're going to just drink, bottled water. Bottled water. So much have changed. Where am I going with this? Well, we depend on somebody outside of ourselves for something as basic as water. And even if we only got our water from the municipality in which we live, because we don't own and run the municipality, we would still be depending on someone else for our water. Now, why is this significant in history? Well, I'm going to get to it. Let's go to Deuteronomy, and we're going to start at the 28th chapter in the 48th verse. Right? And I want you to, we're talking historically, and time permitting, we're going to come back around and show you how the Christian church fits in with this, how they fit in with this. I praise the Most High for those mighty men that's over me. And one of those captains over me once told me, if you need a thumbnail, you know what I'm saying? You need a thumbnail approach to what you should hold on to and what you should let go. This is a good standard. If it was taught to you by anybody else other than the ISUPK, by anybody else other than ISUPK breakdowns coming from Commandant General Yahana and coming on down the ranks. If you learn it from any place other than here, then do the opposite of what you learned. Okay, then you'll be a lot more closer to the truth than you would be if you took different philosophies and different understandings and experimented with them. Just do the opposite, because here's why: because they're all Christian. They're all Christian. I don't care if you're talking Islam, Buddhism, basic standard Catholicism, uh, uh, Southern Baptism, or whatever the correct pronunciation is, Pentecostalism, you see, uh, AMEism, you know what I'm saying, African Methodist Episcopalism, whatever form of religion it calls itself or try to forces itself to appear, it's all Christianity. Christianity, if you just look at a few proponents of Christianity, it runs itself counter to the Bible. Can I pick a couple of three things? A couple of three things. Let's deal with something that's very basic. Uh, and this is a sidebar. We're going to come back to Deuteronomy. But this is history. Historically, let me ask the question. Historically, in this America, historically, what is the holy day that's celebrated? What day of the week is the holy day that is celebrated by all the Christians, by every Christian religion on the face of the earth, with the exception of the denomination of Sabbath day anything? What day of the week is considered to be holy, that's set aside for a special gathering of the people? For a special gathering of the people. What day does Christianity tell you to do that? Well, historically, we know it's called what? Sunday. And if we take our time and understand that days had numbers before they had names, we would say it's the first day of the week. Now, like I say, the brothers over me taught me when it comes down to Christian teaching, whatever they taught you, you'd be better doing the opposite. You'll be closer to the truth doing the opposite of what they say. Let's see if these brothers are right. So Christians say that the first day of the week, historically, the first day of the week, and we're laying this groundwork to show you why you can or cannot, you draw your own conclusion, put your hope in Christianity. Why we say you can, or why you should take a chance or don't take a chance on putting your hope in Christianity. We're starting with this first thing. What is the holy day? We got this book. It's called what? What's that say? Oh, let me do it this way. There it is, the Holy Bible. That way you know I'm not making this up. Not making this up. And I'm going to answer this question, look here. I'm going to go to right here. Y'all see that? Let me see if I can get it back. There we go. We're going to Exodus, and we're going to the 20th chapter. Because we know that the holy day in all the Christians, the holy day in all the Christians is the first day of the week. This is the day that's been set aside to be something special, something different. The first day of the week. But all the Christians say they follow this book. So all we're doing, they say they follow this book. All we're doing right now then in laying the groundwork to see if Christendom can be trusted. We're seeing if the brothers in the Isupk are correct. In other words, if Christians tell you this is their thing, you ought to do the opposite, or Christendom correct. How do we determine that? We ask the question, who most closely, or who best follow this book here? This is the book Christendom claimed to follow. What's his name? Wayne T. Jackson. There's a fellow out of Monroe, used to be out of Monroe, called Curry. All the preachers down there. Uh, I don't know who that Edomite that came out of Toledo, but he big time on TV. You got the Paula Whites, you got the Creflo Dollars, you got the TD Jakes, and then you got a ton of oppressor preachers. Joel Osteen, that's mega. They got mega churches, you see, that claim to be teaching this book. This is what they claim to teach. So, all of them folks I just mentioned, not to give them any credence, they what? The first day of the week is the day that they say should be set aside as being holy. All right? Let's see what this book says right here. This book right here. See that? Let's see what it says. We're going to Exodus chapter 20, and then we're going to go down to about the eighth. We're going to the eighth verse, not about, but we're going to the eighth verse. Let's read. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. The Sabbath, the rest day, the Sabbath, the day of the Most High, the Lord's day. So all types of names have been given for this that everybody recognize. The Sabbath is the holy day declared to be so by the Most High. Let's keep reading what the scriptures say. Verse 9, 6 days shalt thou labor. That means do your work and do all thy work. That's when you get out there and get your hustle on. 6 days you should get your hustle on. So lock in. Salakia. 6 days should you labor, the scripture say. That means get your hustle on. You got 6 days to get your hustle on. Out of 7. There's 7 days in a week. 6 days, get out there and get it, man. Get it, get it. Get out there. Salakia. Salakia. 6 days, get out there and get your hustle on. Make all the money you want to make. You know what I'm saying? Get your business going. You got 6 days to do that. Salakia. Salakia. Because that's the only time I gotta go to work. Salakia. As I was saying, 6 days you can labor. You got to get your hustle on. Get what you do. Sell jewelry. You make clothes. Uh, uh, you do landscape. You get out there and go to a plant. You're a school teacher. You own your own cleaning business. 6 days, according to the scripture, the Most High said, get out there and get it. And we're talking Exodus 20, verse 8. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Verse 9. 6 days shalt thou labor. That's where you get. That's where you get your game face on and do all thy work. Now listen to this. But the seventh, that's Seventh, 7, or the number 7, which comes after the number 6, which is before the number 8. But the seventh day is the Sabbath, or the rest of the Lord thy God, of Yahweh, thy power. That's the day, the seventh day of the week. And guess what? In relationship to what Christians do, in relationships to what Christians do, they what? They use the first day of the week as their Sabbath day. I remember growing up, you see with this gray hair, they were pretty harsh when it comes to violating Christian precepts, Christian doctrine. The wives used to look, especially good church wives who husbands came to church too. They would look at the other women because they knew the other women husbands was at home watching the baseball, football game on TV on Sunday morning. Daddy and them wasn't trying to get to the church. I'm gonna tell you, my daddy wasn't trying to get nothing about no church. You might can get him now. You might can get him what? Easter, Mother's Day. You wasn't even gonna get him Christmas. You wasn't gonna get it. You might can get it. But this was such a big thing of keeping the first day of the week holy that there was dirty looks given to sisters who came to church faithfully because they couldn't get their husbands to come to this den of decadence, you know, this den of decay. That's all the church really was even back then. It was couched real good, and we were children and didn't understand what they were doing. But anyway, here's the first thing. We want to see if Christianity lines up with the Bible. That's historically. Historically. So we know that historically, we don't have to go do a whole bunch of research. Everybody that ever heard anything about a church anywhere know that the church meets on the what? That's called a holy convocation when the people so-called come together. They have their so-called set-aside convocation on what? The first day of the week. But we read right here in the Bible Exodus 20, verse 10, that say, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, nor thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day, and hallowed it, set it apart as something special. I don't, a lot of us, we still make the mistake of using the word holy to define holy. Because that's what Christianity teach. Holy is this feeling that come over you, this mysterious and mystic, and therefore that is holy. No, holy is just means to be set aside for a different and particular purpose. That's holy. So the seventh day of the week is to be set aside as being holy, as being different from the other 6 days of the week. And watch this. When I get up, just watch this. Yesterday, I got a call, got up, went down to the slave with no problem. Hurry up and got down there. Now, many people in the Christian church, many people in the Muslim community, many people in uh, other religions would say that I've lost my mind and I've done a great wrong by going to the slave on this first day of the week. Because all I did was got extra money for myself since it was all overtime, right? Well, the Bible says the seventh day, and the seventh day of the week is what? Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. The seventh day is Saturday, not Sunday. Matter of fact, if you say, what is the relationship of the true Sabbath of the Bible to the Sabbath that the Christians keep? You could rightly say that the relationship is 100% opposite, 180 degrees. Christians say keep the first day of the week. The Most High has given us in the scriptures to keep the last day of the 7-day week. That's the complete opposite. The brothers have taught me that if you want to get close, you come out being closer to the truth if you just do the opposite of what Christians teach and what Christian society teach. And understand that America is, in fact, a Christian society. How do you know? All you have to do is look on America's money. Look on America's money. What does it say here? What does that say right above the word one? What does that say? above the word one. In God we trust. That's Christianity on paper. In God we trust. Now, what they don't tell you is that the God they trust in don't even exist. It's a false imposter God made up. It doesn't have anything to do with the power that we find in the Bible. Has nothing to do with it. So we see on one of the points when we talk about Christianity historically not lining up with the Bible, we see that they meet on the first day of the week. Now, what's another thing Christians do? Well, they have a number of celebrations. Number of celebrations. And I might just not end the class, but end my point making with this. One of the main celebrations that the Christians have we're about to fall into that season. Well, we're in that season. We are in that season. It's called the season of Christmas. Now, since the day after Thanksgiving and until Christmas, until the day after so-called Christmas, you're going to be inundated with all type of ads and reasons for the season and all of this, and they're going to even tell you, they're going to even teach you, they're going to have, in the churches all around, they're going to have nativity scenes set up. And these nativity scenes is going to depict the so-called birth of Christ and tell you this is the Christ child, born miraculously of God, never had an earthly father, and that because of his birth, you ought to practice the rituals of what they're going to do, and that's giving gifts and putting lights on a tree, bringing a tree in their house and lighting up the tree with lights and putting gifts up under the tree and cooking special meals and uh, all of this good stuff. All of this right good stuff. Historically, this is what they do. We call that Christmas. Christmas. What does the Bible have to say about this tradition? That is the question. What does the Bible have to say about this particular tradition of the Christians? Let's go to Jeremiah 10. And not only do we have to say it about this particular tradition, you didn't know that, did you? That Christmas, the celebration of Christmas, and some of the things we do to celebrate Christmas is actually in the Bible. So I know. If you're Christian, you want to get happy, right? But I would warn you, I would caution you, don't do that. Don't jump up here and get all happy. Let's see what the Bible got to say first. See, because I don't want you to accuse me of lean into my own understanding. We're going to Jeremiah 10. And I'm going to go find something else too. And then we're going to come back to Jeremiah 3. But we're going to Jeremiah 10 first. We're going to use this as our last example here. Jeremiah 10. And this is going to start with verse 1. Hear ye the word which the Lord speaketh unto you, O house of Israel. Now let's back that up. In the ISUPK, we want to make sure we don't just run through the scriptures. We live and die based on the scriptures. That's it. We live and die. So we're going to go back and read it one more time. Hear, Hear, that means listen intently. Hear ye, you. Now we got to find out who the you are. Who does that refer to when they say hear ye or hear you? What do they want you to hear? The word which the Lord Yahweh, your power, your God, speaketh unto you, O house of Israel. He's talking to Israel. Listen who he's not talking to. He's not talking to Edomites. He's not talking to them. He's not talking to Amalekites, Ammonites, Canaanites, Jebusites, Philistines. He's talking to the house of Israel. You want to hear one more time? Just read. Hear ye the word which the Lord speaketh unto you, O house of Israel. Now, over here in America, now I believe my brothers in England and Jamaica and Haiti and some more places will say it happens there too. I believe even down in Peru, Puerto Rico, Mexico, my brother will say the same thing. The vast majority of our people claim to be some type of Christian, beginning with Catholic. And it's been this religion that's taught them to keep this feast called Christmas. Okay. So if you look like me, anything like me, if you've been called a Native American, or you've been called a Taino Indian, or if you've been called a native Brazilian, Peruvian, Haitian, Jamaican, Puerto Rican, Cuban, you are part of the lost house of Israel, the whole house of Israel. And you are who the scriptures are talking to. We see here, one more time, hear ye the word which the Lord speaketh unto you, O house of Israel. He's not talking to the Japanese or the Chinese or any Mongolian nation. That includes Vietnamese and Koreans. He's not talking to the Edomites. That means you Caucasians. He's not talking to you. He's not talking to the Polynesians, Hawaiians, and all y'all folks. He's not talking to y'all Filipinos. He's not talking to the Canaanites, them Africans that blow up cows' buttholes for. I know the brothers keep trying to teach me why they do that. That's just some nasty garbage. That's just nasty. They, the closest I want to get to a cow's butthole is butchering him, so he can become a steak on the plate. He can go on the grill. Not worse than some dumb beast that the Most High made it to be made to be food for us. Hear ye the word which the Lord speaketh unto you, O house of Israel. So this is you, so-called black man, so-called Hispanic man, so-called Native man, Native American. If you natives up in Canada, we talking to you. You blacks up in Canada, we talking to you. Native Mexican, you know, the dark native ones, you know, Tainos and those who was in the land before the conquistadors showed up, we're talking to you. Those who say El Negro, and remember that El Negro was the second president of Canada. I mean, Slovakia of Mexico. You know, that's who we're talking to. Those who remember when Mexico was a haven where if a black man could get 1 foot in the country, they would be safe from the oppression of the United States. Hear ye the word which the Lord speaketh unto you, O house of Israel. Thus saith the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen. Now watch this. In today's culture, we have allowed, though, guess what? We run the fastest, jump the highest, hit the hardest, dance the best, sing the best, write the best music, develop the best medical procedures, are the best at discovering new things. Even though we are all that, right? We are what, for the most part, trying to learn the way of the heathen. It took me a minute, but that's why I love the brothers in this school. They taught me how I have been personally brainwashed with a thing called language. And I remember Captain Bond mentioning how it bothered him deeply that someone would feel so arrogant as to correct a brother's use of the English grammar and the English language, period. Not just publicly, but period. When whatever that brother said, we all understood it in the first place. But there are those of us who feel it's necessary to correct that English to make that, and we don't even get it, that what we're trying to do is make that person appear to be more acceptable to our oppressors because we're helping him what? Better speak the oppressor's language. Deuteronomy 28 does tell us we are going to be enslaved by people whose language we didn't even understand. That's down by 68, someplace down in there, but we wouldn't even understand. And there are those of us who grew up that was one of the most important things our parents beat in us, that we were able to understand and to speak the oppressor's language. And so therefore we carry that on. We take pride in that thing, and what do? We oppress our own brothers because he say ain't. We oppress our own brothers because he say Caesar Borgia, and he doesn't say Cesare Borgia. We oppress our own brothers. How? By correcting his so-called English, which is no language whatsoever. What's our holy language, our set-apart language, the Lashawan Kadash. So why in the hell would I correct him on something called damn English? Some Germanic language. Why would do this? Our tongue wasn't made to speak that. We were made to speak the Lashawan Kadash. And it took the brothers, took a minute. You know, I've been in this truth for a couple of years now. And it took a good deal of that to get me to understand that it's more pleasant on my ears to hear a brother speak Ebonics out the hood, and I know exactly what he's talking about, than to hear, watch this, than to sit up and listen to a Jake, a traitor, skillfully and artfully misinform our people so that they might walk further away from the Most High. And that's what preachers have done with this Christmas thing, and telling you the lie that what? Yeah, how we do this because it's the reason for the season is to celebrate Jesus. For lack of a better phrase, that's bullshit. And they know it. The reason for the season is to put more money in their pocket. And they already know they done pulled you away from the Most High with their what basic religion. Start telling you the Bible is a religious book rather than what the Bible really is, your history book. And so they pull you away, and then they give you all this emotional feel-goodness. The giving the gifts, the drinking of strong drink, the smells of food cooking and baked goods cooking, and the lights and the holiday cheer and the songs. They give you a whole paradigm that you know it's something different whether you ever seen it celebrated or not, because everything changes. The colors change. They become green and red and white, festive. And snow is a good thing, and they bring trees inside the house, and they put silver and gold on the trees and lights and different things. This is what the Christian church teaches. Y'all know it. We all learned about Santa Claus and Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer in Sunday school. They told us Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, that was just for the kiddies, but Santa Claus and the little drummer boy down, that's some heavy stuff. We went for it because we were children, right? But what does the Bible say historically about this particular practice? Cutting down a tree and shit, where we get it from? Going to the woods, cutting down a tree, bringing it to our house, putting it in some type of stand so it can stand upright, and then decorate the tree. Well, let's keep reading. Jeremiah chapter 10, verse 2. Thus saith the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen. This practice, by the way, is a heathen practice. Well, let me say this. The practice that's going to be talked about in the Bible in the next few verses is being set up right here. Thus saith the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen. But the thing that we're getting ready to talk about next is a heathen practice, and the Most High want to make sure you get that. And be not dismayed by the signs of the heaven. And you know what? A lot of people don't get that. They both go together. This Christmas that we still as a people so much involved with. This Christmas come based on signs in heaven. What happens this time of year? The days become the daylight hours become as short as they ever going to be. And on the day that is what? The shortest in daylight hours period, that's the day of what? Saturnalia. That's a heathen practice of celebrating old man winter and what comes with winter and the sun god dying out because he's saying, you see, it's a sun god practice and worship. And the old year dying, he's old and all that. All this is being practiced. This is what this whole thing is about. It's a fertility ritual based on the sun god. And this is what we practice. This is what we practice when we celebrate this thing called Christmas. So let's keep reading. Learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them. That's why they got these stupid ass festivals and rituals that they keep. They look up into heaven, oh, the days are getting shorter and it's getting colder. So what they do, oh, let's make offerings unto the sun god so he can make it warmer. They don't even recognize it's just the way the Most High has things set into place that we have all 4 seasons. They're too stupid for that. Why? Because the Most High did not give them his law, statutes, and commandments. He didn't explain things to them, how things work down here. Even though they know about it. They know about it. They know about it. But they choose to ignore. And then they bring this garbage to us. And what we do? We learn the way of the heathen. And we found ourselves dismayed by the signs of heaven. We act just like heathen. That's why you will hear my brother talk about Christians and tell them this. And they talk to Christians, say, you are of your father, the devil, and the lust thereof you will do. Whatever sin your father will do, you will do. That's why you keep Christmas, Easter, and New Year's, Valentine's Day, Mother's Day. That's why you do that. This is just an example of one. Again, we're laying the groundwork as to why you got no business even believing anything the Christian church says. The only thing you should believe the Christian church to say is when they say, go study with the Isupk if you want to know the truth. When they tell you that, run and come to us. We got you. Let me keep reading. Verse 3, for the custom of the people are vain. They say the custom of the oppressor is vain. We trying to be like our oppressor. We trying to be like the heathen. But the heathens, the things they do are vain. They amount to nothing. Vanity means nothing. And vain means it's absolutely worthless. In other words, this custom, let's read. I don't want to get ahead of myself. For the custom of the people are vain. What custom they talk about? For one cutteth a tree out of the forest, the work of the hands of the workmen with the axe, and they deck it with silver and with gold, and they fasten it with nails and with hammer, that it move not. They are upright as a palm tree, but speak not. They must needs be born, because they cannot go. Be not afraid of them, for they cannot do evil, neither also is it in them to do good. The Most High recognized way back then that this was an evil, evil, evil practice, an evil, evil, evil custom. And here we are in that season now. Historically, you've practiced this. I grew up with it, but I haven't participated in this Christmas holiday sincerely in over 30 years. The Most High be praised, because it wasn't me. Now, right before I came into the truth, there was a couple of years where my sister got me to come over and participate a little bit, but I felt kind of funny, ain't been back since. Uh, because their practice, their customs are vain, they're nothing, they're empty. You get nothing for participating in Christmas except for further away from the Most High and His favor. That's what you get. You get pulled away from the Most High and His favor. Who brings you Christmas? Brought to you by your local Christian church. Nobody pushed Christmas as hard as the church. Not even Sears and Roebuck, not even Montgomery Ward's, not even Wall Street. And they make all their money starting on Black Friday. There's so many big box stores that don't turn a profit until Black Friday, which is Wednesday, right after that Friday, right after Salakia, right after Thanksgiving. In other words, they keep their stores open for 10 solid months, 10 and a half months before they realize a profit, because they setting you up and leading you up to this season called Christmas. And you go out here in droves on Black Friday and knock each other down and show no brotherhood for one another and no love for one another as you fight. Watch this. Over things that you get from your oppressor. And that's a good place to segue back over to Deuteronomy 28, 48, 28 and 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemy, which the Lord shall send against thee. And I'm just connected Christmas with that, right? Right. I'm saying this is a good place to go back over here. Why? Because we run, and we're running out here right now trying to celebrate this Christmas. There's more free turkey. Look at here. There's more free turkey running around in Detroit. You can't hardly go anywhere without somebody giving you a free turkey. I ain't saying turn down the food, but surely walk away from the holiday cheer. That ain't worth the shit. It's just not. Walk away from that holiday. Merry Christmas. Don't you tell me that I'm liable to cuss you out. And the only reason I don't is because I understand you don't know what you're doing. You have no clue what you're doing. Therefore, thou shalt serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall bring against thee. Watch this, in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. Look at here. The Most High saying, therefore, or for the reason of For some reason, something we've done back here somewhere, right? We now have to suffer under an enemy. We're going to serve that enemy. And the Lord is going to send the enemy against us. He sent the enemy against us. We're going to be in hunger when we serve this enemy. What does that mean when we serve him in hunger? That means I'm not going to be able on a mass basis to produce my own food. As a people, we are not going to be able to produce our own food. We have to go to our enemy to get our food. Okay, where's the farms? We know corn, grain, vegetables come from places called farms. Where are the black folks' farms who grow food just for so-called black folks, so-called Hispanics, so-called Native Americans? Where's your farms? And I'm not talking about reefer farms or coca farms, coca leaf farms. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about food farms. Carrots, asparagus, lettuce, tomatoes, green beans, lima beans, radishes, avocados, pineapples, bananas, farm, food. We serve our enemy in hunger. In other words, we have to go to him. Where you go get your food from the local grocery store. You go to the local grocery store, who owns that? Not you, not me. And so therefore, in order for us, watch this. If our grocery store closed, if every grocery store closed, let me back up. There's a place called Monroe, Michigan. The east side of town, where a high concentration of African Americans, so-called African Americans, black folks, Israelites live, is situated in such a way that it's actually considered a food desert. Why? Because it is not within 1 mile, and there's thousands of black folks live there, not within 1 mile of a major grocery store. That's called a food desert, you see. And places where we like here, we got Amazing Foods, we got the little corner store here. Amazing Foods is not even considered a major grocery store. So right here in this area, this may be a food desert, even though we got Mike's up near 8 Mile, Amazing Foods right here. There's no Kroger's, Big Lots, or whoever else, big name store, Myers, not around here. They're not around here. What we got is Arab owned, East Indian owned, whoever else, anybody but so-called black man, Hispanic man, Native American man owned grocery stores. You see, that's what we got. And so we get our food from enemy. Not only that, hunger and thirst. Now, can you say Flint, Michigan? We shall serve our enemy in thirst. Can you say Flint, Michigan? That's crazy. That's what's happening. And guess what? Detroit's water may not be any place in much better than what Flint. In Inkster, a suburb of Detroit, may not be much better. In Monroe, may not be much better because they all get their water from the same source, these Great Lakes. And how that water is processed is pretty much the same way. But we have to pay a water bill. If I'm going to drink water or flush water down the drain, I got to pay a water bill. And I'm not paying it to other Israelites. I'm paying it to the folks in charge, to the oppressor that's in charge, the wicked that rules the earth. The wicked has inherited the earth, and the people mourn. That's who I have to buy my water from, and if I don't get it out the faucet, I got to go to the store, right? That's where we started this conversation, was with that water we got to buy because we serve our enemy in thirst. Meaning we can't even drink a damn glass of water unless we get it from him. And therefore, we got, if we get it from him, that means we can drink water when he gives us permission. when he gives us permission. What's the last thing here? Nakedness. That means we have to go to them even to be clothed. I remember growing up, and as my sisters got older and they wanted to go to this dance or that dance, I remember mother, they would see some dress in the magazine and how mother would go buy the material for this $25, $30 dress. Mother would actually go buy the material for a couple of dollars, $3, some needles and thread, that little sewing machine she had in the back. And she'd lay out some newspaper and she'll draw it by hand and she'll figure out this and that and she'll take newspaper and make what was called a pattern. Then she would put that on top of the material, go to cut. Next thing you know, my sisters had a dress to wear to whatever function they was going to. We provided our own clothes, but watch this. One of my ribs, her and I was talking, she and I was talking today, and we was recounting how when she was a young girl down south, and how the mother that raised her made her clothes, and when she got to school, that those clothes that her mother had skill enough to make was the very things that was used to tease and ridicule her about. Why? Because the children she went to school with were so lost that even though they came to school, when they came to school in store-bought clothes, they was getting their clothes from the oppressor, because there wasn't other Israelites making those clothes, getting benefit from those, from them buying those clothes. Those are oppressors that own the companies that sold those clothes to us, and therefore they made themselves subject to the oppressor and was proud of it. When the one sister that was trying to be virtuous, even though she didn't even understand it, right? The sister was making the kids clothes, right? Her children was the one that were ridiculed when they were doing the right thing. When she was doing the right thing by them kids in the eyes of the Most High. We should provide our own clothes. Just like we should, as a nation, Israelites, we should provide our own food. We should provide our own jobs. We should provide our children their education. But historically, the Christian church told us, no, 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 no. Don't do it. Don't do it. And because of this thing, he says, therefore, back to verse 4 there, shall thou serve thy enemies. And this is the result of it. We're serving our enemies. And then it say, until towards the end of that verse, Salaki, let me back up. I'm going to read it from the top. Deuteronomy 28:48. Therefore shall thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. We ain't got nothing. We want cars, where we go to our oppressor to get the cars, and then we buy them on time and pay him twice as 3 times as much as what it's worth. Same with houses. In the want of all things, you name it, we got to go to our oppressor to get it. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed you. And you know that did happen to us in beginning around 1619. We became chattel slaves in this country. We were nothing more than property. We were less than the worth of a cow, less than the worth of a horse. We were possessed. And yet, when we came, he preserved us through that to have a unity of spirit. And then when we come out of that, then what we do? We jump into this Christianity so heavy that we fall. We now go back voluntarily and celebrate this thing called Christmas. Let's get back to Jeremiah 10. get back over here to Jeremiah 10 and see that we're talking specifically about Christmas. Verse 3, for the customs of the people are vain. For one cutteth a tree out of the forest, the work of the hands of the workmen, with the axe. They deck it with silver and with gold. They fasten it with nails and with hammers, that it move not. They are upright as the palm tree, but speak not. They must needs be born, because they cannot go. Be not afraid of them, for they can do, for they cannot do evil, neither also is it in them to do good. The Most High is trying to let us see right here. This is a damn tree, not a god. They worship it as a god, and now you bring it into your home in 2019. 400 years after you became a slave in this country, you are now bringing customs of your slave masters into your home, heathenistic customs that celebrate a sun god worship type thing called Saturnalia. This is what you're really doing. This is what you're really doing. It's the opposite. And the Bible say don't do it. So if the Christian church tells you to celebrate Christmas, you should run away from it. Whatever the Christian church tells you to do, you should do the opposite. Historically, that will work. Via Orgy Mike, that's Martin Luther King Jr., the Christian church told you we shall overcome if we just what? Cross the line and go over there and meld it in with the oppressor and let the slave, the son of the slave master, sit down at the table of brotherhood with the son of the former slave. In 2019, let me ask you, how has that worked out for you? How has that worked out for you? Sitting down with your slave master, with your oppressor. This is what history about. I'm not finna sit up here and try to preach to you and give you a sound good, sing songy sermon of, this is what the most. So I'm just showing you the fact of history. And the fact of history is, if you want to get closer to obeying the Most High, if you learned it in the Christian church, do the opposite. The Christian church teach you, sisters, you know what? If he does, oh, God knows a number of things. If if he don't give you the amount of money you want at the end of the week, what I want to say, Martha Jean the Queen, she came up with that, let the sisters know when that man was getting paid, and that gave them telling him that he ought to do this and that. They got blues songs out to tell you sisters that, and tell the brothers that if you sleep with her, you ought to give her money. They tell you that the Christian church, they'll support that. The Christian church will tell the brothers, look here, if for some reason the sister decides she want to walk away from you, you should just let her walk away. That she has a right not to stay with you and to seek out somebody else. This is what the Christian church teach. When the Bible say that Yahweh shall say himself that you heard that a man, if you're gonna he's upset with his wife, he should give her a bill of divorcement. I say unless she commits adultery, giving her a divorce, a bill of divorcement forces her to commit adultery. And I'm paraphrasing. Sex is marriage is what the Bible teaches. Go study that scripture where Isaac saw Rebekah for the first time and he took her into his brother's tent and he took her and she became his wife. What about the scripture to say if a man finds a mate in the field and he entices her, that he sleeps with her, he shall surely endow her to be his wife. That's marriage. And except for the cause of adultery, You shall not put your wife away. So there's no such thing as divorce in Israel. And this stuff goes on and on and on, where the Christian church historically teaches the opposite of what the Bible teaches. The Christian church teaches you to hold hands, hug, sing songs of, look, come up off the witness stand and hug the murderer of your blood brother. And it tells the Israelite judge to come down off the judge stand to an Edomite and once again give her access, give this Edomite access unto our holy word, our Lashon Kadash. This Bible should be given to nobody except for other Israelites, not some Edomite who just murdered an Israelite, who just committed a what? International incident. Any other country, that's enough to go to war over. One of your law enforcement, one of the people who's supposed to know the law, murders one of our people. And what do our people do? They do the Christian thing. They feel sorry for them. Why? Because this nonsense, this Babylonian era that we've been, new Babylon, that's what America is, new Babylon, new Egypt, new Sodom. That's what America is. And what have they taught us? To bow. Christianity has taught us to bow to white supremacy. I want to deal with one other thing to prove that point, because this is all about historically Christianity has kept Christianity has kept us away from the Most High. Pulled us away, kept us away. There's a person by the name of Margaret Sanger. Let me see if I can find this story. Let me see if I can find it. Let me go check questions, okay? See if I can find this. It's not there. But basically, let's take a look at Planned Parenthood. That's really all we have to look at. And we're going to end it. Planned Parenthood, for those who don't know, is nothing more than the attempt to destroy Israel, the attempt to destroy Israel by way of abortions and other birth control. Margaret Sanger, I got to pull this up. I got to pull this up because I don't want to mess this one up. Let's see if I can get it right quick. Let me show you something. Women for America. This is not the one. This is from the Black Genocide website, the Negro Project, Margaret Sanger's eugenic plan for Black America. Where do I want to pull that quote from? Give me 1 second. Give me just 1 second to be with you. Couple of things. This is from the Truth About Margaret Sanger blog. And this is a quote from Margaret Sanger. I accepted an invitation to talk to the women's branch of the Ku Klux Klan. I saw through the door dim figures parading with banners and illuminated crosses. I was escorted to the platform, was introduced, and began to speak. In the end, through simple illustrations, I believe I had accomplished my purpose. A dozen invitations to speak to similar groups were proffered. That's Margaret Sanger from her autobiography, page 336. Many people don't understand that the founder of Planned Parenthood had been invited to 13 KKK rallies. Uh, she was aware of the murder of a Catholic priest named James Coyle, and she was well received because her plan, eugenics, was about sterilizing or doing away with the African American, the so called African American, the niggers, through birth control. She's also famous for saying that Planned Parenthood or the Negro Project, well, let me read this. Here's an excerpt from the letter, from Margaret Sanger's letter. Perhaps the gallery is unaware that Miss Sanger, this is not her letter. A collective of black pastors have written a letter to the National Portrait Gallery asking that the bust of Margaret Sanger, honoring the founder of Planned Parenthood, be removed due to her crimes against humanity in general and black children in particular. Here's an excerpt. Perhaps the gallery is unaware that Miss Sanger supported black eugenics, a racist attitude towards black and other minority babies, an elitist attitude towards those she regarded as the feeble-minded, speaking at rallies of the Ku Klux Klan women, and communications with Adolf Hitler sympathizers. Also, the notorious Negro Project, which sought to limit, if not eliminate, black births, was her brainchild. Despite these well-documented facts of history, her bust sits proudly in your gallery as a hero of justice. The obvious incongruity is staggering. Show you something. This lady here also made the statement that Planned Parenthood did not want to be seen as an attempt to eliminate or exterminate the Negro. In order to get that message out to combat any possible backlash from her rhetoric at the time, she felt that the black preacher was the obvious choice to get people to accept this new form of genocide. And that's where it has come from. And here's the effect of what Margaret Sanger done way back in the 1920s up to the day. Close to 300,000 abortions are performed in America a year. Over 250,000 of those abortions are performed on Black women and so-called Hispanic women. In New York, the abortion figures are so astounding that more Black babies are aborted in the state of New York than are born in the state of New York. More Israelite babies are aborted every year than are born. If it was 50,000 babies born last year, there was at least 50,001 abortions. But it's probably a lot more staggering than that. And Black preachers have made abortion acceptable. Christianity has made abortions acceptable. Historically, by letting this whole idea of Planned Parenthood come and get our sisters, effectively now, today in history, the most unsafe place for a Black individual to find themselves is not on a corner somewhere in an isolated place in the middle of the night. It's not in the ghettos of Detroit or New York or LA or Oakland or Texas or Dallas or Boston or DC or Atlanta. It's not in the barrios. It's not the most unsafe place for an Israelite to find himself. Is not on the plantation, but in his mother's stomach, in his mother's womb. The most dangerous place for a black baby to be, an Israelite baby to be these days, is in their mother's womb. Why? Because the Christian church has given you a carte blanche to get your abortions. And so 200, quarter million abortions a year just in the Black and Hispanic community, and that number may be conservative. Historically, the Christian church has served us up to white supremacy and to our oppressor on a platter. And they use false prophets called preachers to do it. Historically. Check anything out, we say. We go by the Bible, we go by actual historic fact. And the Most High don't want it this way. Never did. Deuteronomy 28:1. It could be different. It could have been different, and it can be different. Deuteronomy 28:1 says this. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all the nations of the earth. We want everything. We Israelites, we want everything. We want the big cars, the fast cars. We want all the wives. We want the big houses. So all we have to do, come back to the law, statute, and commandments of the Most High. Now watch this. One of the things that is happening in Israel, all across Israel, is our lesson. And it's been there before each one of us found the truth, and that's why we bring it with us. But there's a clash between men and women, and everybody got this thing on what should go. And you know why we fight, why we in this place? You know why we have this problem? Verse 47, we read Deuteronomy 28:48. Therefore thou shalt serve thy enemy. But the question is, the therefore means because of what preceded, this is why you're serving your enemy. So what preceded us serving our enemies. Verse 47, because thou servest not the Lord thy God with joyness of heart, with joyfulness, Salakia, and with gladness of heart for the abundance of all things. That's heavy. How do we not serve the Lord? How do we not serve Yahweh, our power, with joyfulness and with gladness of heart? Well, we don't serve him when we can't stop smoking weed. When we make up excuses, to smoke weed. There's no we're saying when we come up with excuse, when we come to class, well, can you just do this? And well, is it okay? And we making up excuses to deal with the weed, to smoke. And you hear the Jakes all day calling into the different shows. We're not glad for the law that tells us it's unlawful to smoke. We're not happy for that law. We are not happy for that law. Why? Because we making up, trying to figure out ways not to obey the law. Like manner. Many sisters find themselves not able to serve the Lord with joyfulness and with gladness because it's lawful for a brother to have more than one wife. She's not happy to receive that law. She see it, and you know what? You know what the sisters say? Well, why do he want more than one wife? That let us know right there she's not happy to receive that, and rather go with the Christian thing. One husband, one wife, and the man ought to be monogamous. But the Bible never says that, and yet that's what the Christian church teaches. They even in their wedding ceremony, a bona fide Christian wedding ceremony, has the man agreeing to forsake all others for as long as he lived. When the Bible tells a man be fruitful and multiply, the Bible tells a man sex is marriage. You entice a woman, you lay with her, you are married, you shall endow her to be your wife. You married to her. You are married to her. You can't get around it. And sister, he is married to you and you are married to him. And that's your only husband. But the Christian church teach you that if he gets on your nerve enough about anything, take your little happy behind down to the court. Why? Because in this land they have laws that, and if the laws say it's okay, then you can feel good about it. So the law tells you it feel good because you don't like the way he manages this or that, or he don't make as much money you think he should make, and that you don't like the fact that he requires you to manage the household and he checks you in the household, then the law say, or he go gets another wife. The law say because he went and got another wife, that now you can divorce him, take half of his value, and take his kids, and then hit him up until them kids turn 18 for child support. And that's what we do. Historically, that's what the Christian church teaches, and that's why we have no men at the head of our household. That's why the men who are at the head of their household catch hell. That's why men who are at the head of their household, particularly have more than one wife, catch extra hell. Not just from inside this house, but from outside too, because there's people constantly talking to his wives, trying to tell them how stupid that is. But it's lawful. And the sister, because of all this stuff coming against her, cannot what with joyfulness accept the lawfulness of what the Most High allows for her husband. It got to have some type of caveat that it fit towards her feelings. And where does she get that from? The lies of the Christian church. Historically speaking, this is where it all comes from. I'm going to read the scripture. Again, this is what we have to do to get out of it. We have to return to these laws, statutes, and commandments with a joyful heart, with gladness. We gotta want to obey the law, statutes, and commandments. We need to be happy that these laws, statutes, and commandments exist, not in some perfunctory way. Oh, by the way, you know how we like to do. If it wasn't for the Lord, and that's kind of Christian too. I'd be sleeping, first giving honor to God, the head of my life, and Jesus Christ, the head of my life. Want to thank God because it wasn't for Him bringing me here, I could be dead, sleeping in my grave. We got that down so pat. The fact is that you are dead. You're just a walking and a living dead. You are the valley of the dry bones if you're not in this truth. And that's why you're so acceptable to the lies of Christianity. That's why you love Christianity so much and you can't let it go. The truth is in the Bible, and every one of you Christians got one or two or three. Some of you keep them in your purse, your back pocket, your shirt pocket. Things called pocket rockets where you only got half the Bible or the Gospels and Psalms. But you got enough with you that if you just read it and believed and obeyed it, you'll find out that the Christian church is the biggest pack of lies ever put together under a roof. Under a roof. You see. And this is why our attitude is so hard to change. Because we refuse to accept the law, statute, and commandment of the Most High with joyfulness and with gladness of heart. And that's what we got to get back to, Israel. You ought to be jumping with joy that we're getting ready to hit another Passover. That another slaughtering of the lamb is coming up. That we can celebrate how the Most High delivered us. And guess what? With these Passovers, it ain't going to be too long before we stop just celebrating the Lord delivering us out of Egypt. But Passover is going to be celebrated by the Lord delivering us out of Babylon, out of America, out of spiritual Sodom. It's coming to that. And we ought to be just so happy. Learn to hate America. Learn to hate the ways of the heathen. We need to learn to hate the ways of the heathen. And with that, I want to say shalom, Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shah Barakatah, all my brothers, shalom, Yahweh Shema Latah Bahashem, to all my sisters. Remember, pay your tithes, pay your tithes, pay your tithes. You're giving it to them Christian preachers. You really need to be giving your tithes to the Isupk so General Hamel can use it. Shalom, Israel.
Little Zahar, man, won't be quiet, but check it out, yo. Playing spades, reminiscing on days before niggas started shooting, we would still catch fades. It's like the world's a lot scarier since crack and AIDS, and the only thing that we became is rats in a maze. Cause all my brother cares about is trapping in J's. Mine's fucked up from the pills and the haze. Pop said we hard-headed, stuck in our ways, so I've been praying to the Most High that it's just a phase, yup. Hardly surprised and always amazed, especially at what's been getting radio play.